Hello, South Florida. Welcome to the Casting Couch, the show that gives hidden talent in South Florida exposure. I'm your host, Karen Stevens, and today we are going to be talking to two motivating movers and shakers, University of Miami Professor Dr. Patrick Williams, and from AmplifyMe, Miss Scherazade King. Stay tuned.
It's a soul flow thing. Shot in beautiful Miami, the Casting Couch is the perfect backdrop. The Casting Couch is designed to give hidden talent in South Florida exposure. What makes the Casting Couch unique is that it's totally interactive. Social media driven. Tweet us and like us on Facebook at Casting Couch TV. You can also watch past and current episodes by logging on to thecastingcouchtv.com. APAC, the African American Performing Arts Community Theater, has produced powerful and thought-provoking plays and musicals in South Florida since 2001. This not-for-profit theater company encouraged seasoned as well as amateur actors to audition for future productions. Please visit APAC at www.apac.com for more details. APAC, building better communities through theater.
Welcome back. My first guest is the Executive Director of AmplifyMe, whose mission is to create a renaissance in the media arts that increases civic engagement and empowers people to think differently. Casting Couch family, please help me welcome to the couch Miss Scherazade King. Hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
So good to have you here. Have a seat.
Nice to be here.
You look wonderful.
Thank you very much.
So, you are not a Florida native?
No, I'm not. I'm actually from Texas. But I came here after being in Boston for the past 10 years where I started AmplifyMe. And we're expanding our program into the Miami area.
Oh, that's wonderful. Mm-hmm. You went to the University of Texas, Austin?
I actually did. Yeah. I'm a Longhorn.
Oh, we're University of Miami here. You know that.
I know.
Right?
I do know that.
How long have you been in Miami?
Just the past 2 years. As I said, after we won Harvard Business School's Venture Philanthropy Award, it gave us the opportunity to grow our program here to Miami. And after Miami, we'll be going to other cities in the nation. Mm-hmm. So we're expanding our program to scale nationally. Mm-hmm.
After you left college, you did consulting work.
But
then you got a fellowship to lecture and teach in Ghana.
How was that? I did. It's been quite the journey.
Yeah.
So yes, my background is actually in business. So I'm doing this work kind of without a traditional career path in the nonprofit sector. I started off my career in mergers and acquisitions with PricewaterhouseCoopers, and I was working in the Washington, D.C. office, and I think being in Washington, D.C., where that's the seat of government and so much social justice and nonprofit work is happening in that area, I got exposed and then got very interested in international human rights work and nonprofit work and social justice work in general. I was able to get a fellowship to teach business at the University of Cape Coast, and that was my first, I think, real opportunity to sink my teeth into doing work for the greater good. Mm-hmm. And once I got hooked, I couldn't go back. And I think what it was about being in West Africa, where people are very challenged. There's so many challenges with regards to poverty and illness, and even the challenges of government. But people are still so very empowered about their, I just think about their role and their value to their society and their country. And I wondered why that wasn't the case here in the United States, why so many people feel apathetic about their ability to make an impact on a large scale. And I realized that so much of it is the cultural messages that we're exposed to by well-meaning people, by the media, by our parents and adult allies, and I recognize that, you know, it's important that we start feeding ourselves messages that inspire us to think differently and think big about our role as citizens and agents of change.
Absolutely, absolutely. So obviously you took that experience and used it to further your mission. And so tell us a little about AmplifyMe.
Well, AmplifyMe has 4 signature programs. Our mission is to really use the media to amplify the engagement of all people in positive action for positive change. So we do that through the creation of socially conscious and socially responsible media messages in video, music, and online media. So those are the you know, 3 platforms that we work on. And we have our Youth Media Institute that is our signature program. We were actually a finalist in the President's National Arts and Humanities Youth Programs. So we were one of 50 exemplary programs nationwide.
So is that scripted or thematic?
It weaves a media literacy, media production, and media democracy elements to result in a curriculum that really inspires young people to recognize their power, the power of their voices in, you know, organizing action for positive change in their communities. So we help them to use the media to take action on pressing social issues that they care about.
You brought a clip for us. Could you tell us about it?
I did. The clip that I brought is actually a video. It's a music video called Until by Aisha Knight. And I'm sharing that because it demonstrates how a young artist who's actually hearing impaired, she's deaf, is able to use her poetry, her spoken word, to raise the profile of a variety of pressing issues that she faced growing up. And then how she's using it to make a difference in the lives of others. And so, so what you'll see is a video that we actually submitted to HBO's Deaf Poetry Jam, and we were able to get her on as an artist on the Deaf Poetry Jam.
That sounds very exciting. Stay tuned, family, as we watch the clip from AmplifyMe's video.
Let's give a warm welcome, of course, to Aisha Knight with assistance from Tony Asante Lightfoot.
Until last night, I was missing the key to the place I forgot existed. Until last night, I was afraid to express myself for fear of rejection, retaliation from people who say I'm not deaf enough because my English is too good, not black enough because my mother is white, not Jewish enough because my skin is black, not Cherokee enough because each generation gets divided in half. Some say I'm not straight enough because I share my love and life with a woman. Not lesbian enough because, well, I have loved a man. Not enough labels to go around and not enough strength to say enough. Not until last night, when I raised my hand and reached through the looking glass to touch the reflection of she who is me, a naked girl running free, loving my body, until drunk uncles started loving me too. Believed all women would walk tall until I saw my mother crouched against the wall, searching for protection against an uncontrolled hurricane of misunderstood emotions. Years disappeared, taking with them denied emotions until I could no longer remember where this seed of rage and fear first appeared. Until I started on the path away from self-destruction and caught glimpses of the flame inside, uncovered when the mask came off in games of peekaboo, I see you. I believed I was a rape victim until I owned the word survivor. Hated my feminine curves, the roundness of my belly, until I got it pierced and let myself revel in its beauty. Confined myself to an invisible cage until I decided to move and be free. Until I met strangers, soon to be friends. Until I met the woman who loved me and held me with open arms. Until I took a chance, remembered, and then transformed myself. Until last night, when I opened the doors and the woman said, "Hey, sister, welcome home." Perfect.
That was absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that with us.
You're absolutely welcome.
Now, AmplifyMe has won some awards. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, our videos have won awards in a variety of different film festivals. We won the Media That Matters Film Festival, the Netflix Empowerment Award at that film festival, so we were really excited about that. We were also a winner of the United Nations Youth Video Film Festival. There are a variety of others that we've also won, so we're very excited about some of the honors and accolades that we've received over the years.
And it's a great marketing tool, I would imagine.
It is. It's actually kind of nice to be recognized by the very media outlets and industry outlets that we seek to promote positive change in.
Mm-hmm. How do you attract young people to your program?
You know, I think that the program really speaks for itself. The fact that we're using a medium that young people are tuned into, the media, the mainstream media, particularly film, music production, etc., that young people are really recognizing as the wave of the future. Mm-hmm. They really want to be actively engaged in creating these kinds of messages.
That's very encouraging. Mm-hmm. Very encouraging, mm-hmm. because I sometimes find myself worrying about our youth, mm-hmm. and the direction that they're going, and mm-hmm. if there's anything positive out there for them to follow or to feed into. Mm-hmm. And along those lines, in your bio you mentioned having some difficulties early on in your life. Mm-hmm. How did that impact your decision to go in this kind of work?
Well, you know, I really felt like growing up, you know, I had a variety of different challenges. Coming from an abusive background, we were low income, oftentimes, you know, really scraping the bottom of the barrel, and there were 5 of us, 5 kids. And, you know, I think what really helped me to get out of the situation that I found myself in was to surround myself by people that offered inspiring messages of hope, that really weren't only thinking about the fact that, you know, our people are oppressed, or our, you know, like you hear the stories of oppression so often, and I think young people really need to hear the fact that we are overcoming the barriers, we are overcoming the obstacles, and focusing attention on the positive. And I think that that's why the work that I do is more geared towards putting attention on what we are for, the kinds of media messages that we're for. There's a lot of programs that tend to focus on media literacy, and they point to examples of, you know, misogynistic, violent, you know, glamorizing these kinds of negative media, and I think that that's just kind of a backwards way of doing it, and when we really want to put the attention on what we're for. And I think that that kind of example in my own childhood was what really helped me.
What you're saying sounds so interesting, and it's so needed. But I just wanted to share this, that one of your goals is that by reframing the tragic events of her childhood and integrating empowering positive messages into her daily life, she was able to transform her own life and is now using empowering media arts messages to promote healing and transformation in the lives of many others. And on behalf of those others, I would like to say thank you, because we need to have more people out there doing the work.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're coming back with our next guest, Dr. Patrick Williams from the University of Miami, a man who loves to share his knowledge. Can you hang around?
I'm happy to.
Okay, stay tuned, Casting Couch family.
It's a soul flow thing. Shot in beautiful Miami, the Casting Couch is the perfect backdrop. The Casting Couch is designed to give hidden talent in South Florida exposure. What makes the Casting Couch unique is that it's totally interactive. Social media driven. Tweet us and like us on Facebook at Casting Couch TV. You can also watch past and current episodes by logging on to thecastingcouchtv.com. APAC, the African American Performing Arts Community Theater, has produced powerful and thought-provoking plays and musicals in South Florida since 2001. This not-for-profit theater company encouraged seasoned as well as amateur actors to audition for future productions. Please visit APAC at www.apac.com for more details. APAC, building better communities through theater.
Welcome back, family. Remember to like us on Twitter at The Casting Couch and like the Casting Couch fan page on Facebook. Now, our next guest is one of the most sought-after lecturers and motivational speakers in Miami. He is a Fulbright Memorial Fund Scholar to Japan, a 1984 Silver Award recipient in foreign language. He speaks 7 languages, plays classical piano, and sings opera. There is more to him than meets the eye. Please, Casting Couch, help us give a warm welcome to Miami's own Dr. Patrick Williams. Welcome. How are you?
Good, good.
This is Scherazade.
Hi, Shekhar Azad.
Nice to meet you. Have a seat. How are you feeling?
Good, love it.
Good. We're happy to have you here. Now, I'm going to start out saying, and if you please excuse me for saying so.
All right.
Okay, but you are the embodiment of, and the personification of never judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
Because a man with your accomplishments, someone would not expect you to look as urban as you do. How do you hear that often?
I hear that a lot. In fact, just the other day, I went to the store and a group of people were talking, you know, and then I opened my mouth. And one girl said, "That's my teacher. That's my professor." And the other person looked, "Your professor? No, he has goals and dreads. He can't be a professor." And she was like, "Yes, he is. He is my professor. That's Dr. Williams." You know, so I hear it all the time. But one of the things that I say is that I think it's a positive thing because it lets people know that you can't judge a book by its cover. You know, it lets people know also that you can do what you want to do and still maintain your identity.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
I love that. I think that's great. I think the more we challenge people's misconceptions, the better.
Yes.
Where are you from?
I was born in Jamaica. Born in Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
How long
man.
have you been in Florida?
I've been in Florida 30 years.
30 years.
Yes.
Wow, that's great. So how long have you been a teacher?
This is my 23rd year teaching in Dade County Public Schools. This is my 16th year as a professor at various universities. I taught at FAU, I taught at Florida Memorial, and I'm currently teaching graduate courses at the University of Miami as a lecturer. Yes.
So when you go in to apply for jobs as professors at these universities, do you have problems with?
I didn't really apply. I mean, I know I had to fill out an application, but it was more so recommendations.
Oh, good.
Because those professors that were there, the deans or the chairs, they've seen a lot of my work. So they know my work and it's of high caliber. And they're like, "Hey, we want to have him teach one of our courses."
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I loved reading your bio, but something that really stood out for me was the accident you had as a child.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
And how it
that was
affected
bad.
you. Could you tell us about it?
Yeah, it was. I was in a fight and they took a board with a nail and hit me in the head, and blood was just going everywhere. And I think that affected me. And you know, later on, I just remember just being slow to learn things. You know, I was teased and called stupid. You know, I remember running home crying, and you know, my mom would console me, and just always say to me that, you know, you're smart, you're smart. But even though she said those things, I didn't believe it. Yes, and it was years later that now I'm here, you know, with a PhD, speaking 7 languages, as a high school teacher, traveling the world, and, you know, as a federal court interpreter. I just feel like I've arrived, you know, to recognizing who I really am.
Absolutely. Your story is so inspiring. It's incredible. And the accident created a condition for you, dyslexia.
Dyslexia.
How challenging was that in learning those different languages and excelling the way you have?
Then I sort of recognized my speech pattern. I stuttered a lot back then. And one teacher told me, slow your speech down. So I began to practice on my own, slowing my speech down, and just wanting to learn. I think my thirst for knowledge didn't see my dyslexia, and I just went head on into learning the languages, you know, being abroad, traveled, studying the language in school, and getting degrees in the language, and I think that has helped me a lot.
You said the magic word, thirst for knowledge.
Oh, yes.
Yes, absolutely, thirst for knowledge. I consider you a modern-day success story. So, with your background, with your history, how do you inspire a thirst for knowledge in your students?
Oh, my students see me, I would go in my classroom and I would sing an opera there. And you wouldn't realize, but young black males or Hispanic males or just males in general, you know, at first they begin to laugh, but then they were like, wow, he sounds good, he sounds real. You know, and they see all these things. Then I would speak the different languages. I would write on the board in Korean, in Hangul on the board. I would write French on the board. I'd write all the different languages. I would sign in class. And they're like, I want to learn that. I want to learn those things. And I tell them my story of me being homeless during my college years. And they're like, you have arrived. You know, you've been through so much and you're here teaching us. You're always passionate about teaching. You're always exciting in the classroom. And that's sort of contagious, and it lends off on them. So they, in turn, become motivated through my stories.
I think that's wonderful, because I think young people today, they want to be taught, but they're very jaded in some ways. And the fact that you've lived a full life and you've had experiences that you've overcome, I think in some ways they respect that more. And that the things that you've accomplished is very impressive, and I'm sure they're impressed.
A lot of hard work.
Yeah, I'm sure they're impressed. So when did you first realize you wanted to be a teacher?
I didn't realize I wanted to be a teacher. When I finished college, I went to school to be an interpreter. I wanted to work at the UN. That was my goal. I wanted to work at the UN, but somehow that didn't happen, and I ended up applying for a teaching job because since I knew I finished college, I knew how to learn stuff. I said maybe I know how to teach it. And back in FIU, I had a tutoring job there, and I tutored students, and they learned what I taught them. And I said maybe I'd put this to use being a teacher. So I applied to Dade County Public School, and I became a teacher back in 1990. And ever since, I've been having success with my students in teaching Spanish, French, HSCT math, Algebra 1. And I love it. I love motivating people to let them know that knowledge is fun. I'm not a reader of fiction. I don't like fiction books, but I read textbooks. And it's weird. People call me a nerd a little bit, you know, but I like textbooks. For me, a textbook, picking up a statistics textbook or a math textbooks, I mean, I do math at night, 12 o'clock, I'm working math problems. Because if it keeps me going, I'll keep on trying to get it. I have to solve it before I go to sleep.
Wow, I want to be like you when I grow up.
I'm not that nerdy.
That's great. So what 7 languages do you actually speak?
English, of course, Spanish, French, Haitian Creole, sign language, which is not spoken, but you use your hand gestures, Patois, and Hangul, which is Korean.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
I'm not fluent in Korean, but I was there for 3 summers and picked it up and could move around and communicate in the language.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you went over there to teach.
I write it also, yeah. Through FIU had a program where they were our sister schools, so they sent 3 professors from FAU to Shilla University in South Korea, and we were there, and I immersed in the language and the culture.
Wow. Well, we're going to take a break right now. I'm going to come back and ask you some more questions.
Yes.
I think you're fascinating.
Thank you.
So, Casting Couch family, stay tuned. We'll come back with more with Dr. Patrick Williams.
APAC, the African American Performing Arts Community Theater, has produced powerful and thought-provoking plays and musicals in South Florida since 2001. This not-for-profit theater company encouraged seasoned as well as amateur actors to audition for future productions. Please visit APAC at www.apac.com for more details. APAC, building better communities through theater.
Welcome back, Casting Couch fam. We're here with Dr. Patrick Williams, University of Miami professor, lecturer, and man extraordinaire. So you're our musician and a singer.
Yes.
You play classical piano.
Classical piano.
Mm-hmm. How long have you been playing classical piano?
I started playing classical piano in 1980. I received a scholarship to the Jamaica School of Music Conservatory, and I studied there. Mm-hmm. And ever since, I've been just playing, practicing, and done several shows, and just keep practicing just to entertain people. My mom would take me to these convalescence home, you know, and would have me play the piano and entertain and sing. So it's still part of what I do. Yeah.
Do you do any shows locally?
I haven't done any shows locally lately, but I do it in my classroom, so my students are well aware. Yes.
Now, what is what did you see as your ultimate goal?
Other than being rich?
Other than being rich, that's all of our goals.
I mean, I see myself doing what I'm doing now. I do a lot of things. I'm a consultant for Palm Beach County Schools. I teach in Dade County Public School. I teach at the University of Miami. I travel. I'm a freelance consultant, translator, transcriber, interpreter, motivational speaker. And I see myself continuing to do those things, all for the sole benefit of students. They're coming after me, you know, and I want to make sure that they're prepared. You know, we always say we need to leave better planet for students or for children. Well, I'm going to leave better children for the planet.
That's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. So I want to thank you for being here.
Thank you
for being a shining example for our youth, our people, and thank you for being someone who goes against the stereotype. I think that is very admirable, and I think more people should do that.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, you're quite welcome. And thank you, Shekhar Azad, for being here. Thank you for what you do, and I do want to be more like you guys when I grow up.
It's a pleasure.
And with that, we're going to sign off. Casting Couch family, thank you for being here with us today. Join us next week when we will have Miami Times Editor-in-Chief, Kevin McNair, and the Casting Couch's very own Executive Director, Keith Harrell. Have a great week.